Today I want to debunk a piece of advice that everybody is telling you should do, and I'm going to tell you it's the worst idea when it comes to creating content that I am calling you-coded. So this is where we're talking about the personal brand, you-coded content system. Because I think that this piece of advice actually trips up almost every experienced business owner who uses it. And it has tripped me up, it has tripped my clients up, and it's actually made us feel more stuck when it comes to creating content than being helpful. Now, if we've not met, hey there, I'm Sis Chadwick. I'm a personal brand and business coach, and I work with experienced female entrepreneurs to help you build a personal brand that sells for you and also help you get out of your own way, because we are often the biggest bottleneck. And here is the piece of advice that everybody is telling you online. It's go and search for your next content idea. That you need to be out there consuming, researching, scrolling, watching what everybody else is doing so that you can figure out what to say. Worst advice ever. And I actually want to really challenge you today, because every time I have felt stuck when it comes to content or I've felt overwhelmed, it's probably because I've been doing that. I've just been scrolling and watching everybody else, thinking about what's their lighting like, what's their script like, what is it that they're doing, why are they getting so many views, how can I learn from this? And whilst I think it's great to learn and become a really solid content creator, when it comes to ideas, copying people's hooks, copying what they're doing and saying, I actually think that's the worst advice out there. Because here is what happens. You sit down and you go to create content, you don't know what to say, so then you open Instagram, for example, you start watching somebody in your niche. Number one, you probably fall into comparison. But the other thing that happens is that you're now second guessing the angle that you might have wanted to take on a particular topic because they said something similar, or you think that they said it better than you, or maybe you feel like their production is better. So what's the point? And this actually had me stuck for a few weeks, like a month or two ago, where I was just like, what are my ideas? What is it that I want to say? How can I be sharing original, unique things that I become known for, that my clients come to me for? Because the other thing you've got to remember is that if you're constantly looking at what other people are doing and you're listening to their ideas and what they're saying, then you are going to sound like everybody else. And when you think about that, like if your clients are coming to you, your community is coming to you, and you just sound like everybody else, that is your competitive edge gone. And I think when you do that, you start creating content that feels safe and familiar because it's basically a remix of somebody else's. And that is literally the opposite of what builds a brand that you become remembered for. And so what I want you to think about is, when do your best ideas come? Now for me, my best ideas come when I'm in a coaching conversation, when I'm doing like a live training or a workshop and I'm in flow and I'm answering questions. And also when I'm doing that, new ideas are coming to me in that moment as well. And so often when I'm just riffing and I'm giving examples and sharing stories, some of my best one-liners, my best concepts, my best frameworks have come to light. I was speaking at an event, and whilst I was in the midst of it, something I hadn't thought of before came to me, and I gave like 5 different things that you need to really think about. And people were just like, oh my gosh, those 5 things were amazing. But it was only because I was in the flow that that unique idea, that unique concept came to me. And I think this is where a lot of people stumble, is that we think that creation and content is separate, but it's actually not. It's actually in the work that you're doing. It's in the coaching call that you're having. It's in the workshop that you're running. It's in the conversation that you're having with a peer or a collaborator or a colleague or a team member. And I think one of the things that I always try and pick up on is that when I'm in those conversations or those coaching calls, it's when a client's just like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about it that way, or the way that you said that just really landed for me. And I always try and go back and look at, how did I say it? What exactly was that? Because when I'm in the moment, I don't always remember what I've just said. And so even just having the transcriptions or having the recordings is so helpful. You will find a gold mine of content in your call and meeting recordings. I can almost guarantee it. And when we think about frameworks, and one of the things that I teach my clients is to map their method. you can check out, there's a workshop below this, is that your method is what you do. So I just want to remind you, it's not something that you're just creating randomly. It is documentation of a process that you've perfected. It's documentation of the work that you've done, the steps that you take in order to get an outcome. And basically everything that we do in our business is really from our experience. It's from our knowledge. It's from our stories. It's from the work that we do. And so when you're sitting there trying to isolate a piece of content where you're like, what exactly am I going to say in the next 90 seconds? You're actually stifling yourself instead of going back and looking at what was the conversation I had this week that I think is really important? What have I seen online where I have an opinion about that I could then share with my audience? And for me, having been stuck a couple of months ago, I really had to sit and think about what was happening, what was wrong, what was I doing that was not helping me? And that's how I came up with today's content. It's because I was in the work of, I need to get out of this and get back into my work, get back into what I'm doing, get back into what I'm speaking about. What are the things I'm really passionate about? What am I seeing in the market that I can share with you? That's the content I want to create, not going and looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to get my inspiration and also my content from other people. Worst idea. And whilst, yes, you can learn from people, you've also just got to really watch that it doesn't start to detract from what you're trying to create. Because when you start to really look at how do I do things, what's my story in this, then that's what I call your coded content. It feels natural because it is natural. It's not piggybacking off somebody else's content or idea, and it's not copying a trend. It came to you out of your own experience, out of your own language, out of the things that you're doing in your business and maybe in your life as well. And when content comes from that place, it's just so much easier to create. Like, it's easy to sit and riff on it because you're not trying to take what somebody else has. It's coming from you. And this is the stuff that builds your reputation. I firmly believe that, because as I'm sure you know, nobody gets known for repeating constantly what other people say. You get known for the thing that only you say and the way that you say it. So here's the practicality of it, is that I want you to actually go back to your last client call or a conversation that you had recently. Or maybe you're building a new training or workshop for your client, and really think about the concepts. Like, what are the opinions, the concepts, the frameworks that you want to share, that you want to teach, that has come from you and your experience? What's the language that you're using that feels very you? I created a word a long time ago, procrastinating, which is basically when we're just like faffing about, procrastinating, trying to figure out what else we could do. And my clients use that back to me all the time. And so when you can create from a language that's yours or concepts that are yours, then those are things you can be remembered for as well. And so recently I also did an episode on going from owner-operator to creator-founder. And that is not something I think I've heard anywhere before. If I'm wrong, let me know. But out of that has fallen a whole lot of other things that now I'm like, okay, when I was explaining what an owner-operator is, I had this big explanation, I had examples, and out of that, new concepts came. The same goes for creator-founder. I'm like, what are the 5 behaviors? What are the behaviors of a creator-founder? What's the shift that they're having around their thinking and the way that they act? And so a whole lot of content came out of that as well. And so when you're in creation mode, which is why we are called creators, you'll start to see a domino effect to your content ideas. The second part of that system is really just documentation. So for me, I've got a Notion spreadsheet where I just drop ideas in, and I might type a few things around what I'm thinking, the story, etc. But I'll just write a note on it so that I'm always coming back to my own ideas and not trying to find other people's ideas. So I think you've also got to have a system in place to capture those. The little caveat that I'd say on that, which I was sharing with a client the other day, is that sometimes when we're in the energy of a particular idea, it's great to just record it and then put it in your drafts and bank it. Because when we're in that energy and we feel inspired by the idea and we've kind of got ideas coming out of it, we want to be able to capture that when it's fresh. Because one of the problems that one of my clients was saying to me is, she's like, I have this idea, I write it down, but then when I go back to it, it's like the energy's left it. And so I think when it comes to your system, you've just got to know yourself and know what is it that I want to share? What's the best way for me to do it? How do I make sure that I'm in the energy at the time? So even right now, I've already recorded a whole bunch of videos and podcast episodes, but I was in this energy today wanting to talk about this particular topic. So I thought, even though I hadn't planned to record a video today, I thought, okay, I'm in the idea energy, which to me, I'm just like, that could be a new concept as well. And so let me record it, and then I can schedule it for 3 weeks' time when the next episode is due to come out. The next thing you want to really think about when it comes to you coded content are your opinions and beliefs. So really thinking about what are the opinions that I think I want to really share right now. Because as we know, whilst educational content is great, it's the opinions, the commentary, the contrarian takes that I think are really captivating right now that people are interested in, because it's different. And I think you coded content needs to have an opinion. It needs to have a stance. It needs to have something that it's fighting against. So what's the enemy that you have in your business? For me, I'm constantly wanting to help my clients to fight against the belief that they can't show up, that they can't be visible, that they can't create the business that they want. And the third part of the you coded content as well is really what you say on repeat. So it could be your phrases, it could be your frameworks, it could be the things that you naturally explain over and over again to your clients. And that is probably one of the most overlooked ones because it feels really natural to you. You're like, yeah, I know that inside out, but you're not actually repeating it and sharing it with people on the regular. Because you've got to remember that people need to hear things like 10 times before it actually sinks in. So really sit down and think about, what are my opinions? What are the conversations that I'm having? What are the things I say on the regular, the words that I use? What are the frameworks that I share, that I can constantly be going back to these things and getting new ideas from them? And I think just being in that deep work, instead of scrolling, the strategy is sit with a notebook, go for a walk, get voice noting around ideas, things that you're seeing. Get your AI to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I think this is a really smart thing to do, where it's actually asking you about your opinion. So for example, you could just write a prompt saying, I want to find really unique ideas and thinking and opinions that I have. Ask me 5 questions that can help me bring out things that are relevant right now. Like, what are my clients' biggest issues? And then what are my thoughts, opinions, frameworks, ideas on these, so that it's relevant to my audience and the person that I'm speaking to. So if you take nothing else away from this episode, I want you to take this. And it's that you are not short on ideas. You might just be short on noticing the ones that you already have, because you're being overloaded by everybody else's content, opinions, what they're saying, what they're doing. And every time you feel stuck when it comes to your ideas and content, I'm actually going to say that you're probably consuming too much. And it's a sign that you need to get back into the work and not into other people's content. And really pay attention. I think sometimes we're so distracted that we don't see the great ideas that we're having. And even just in a short period of time, I have really reduced the amount that I'm scrolling and locked in to paying attention to my own ideas. And they're in abundance. I just wasn't noticing them, because that is where the original thinking lives. And that is what makes your content feel like you. At the end of the day, that's what people really want. They're not looking for a regurgitation of other people's content and information. They're looking for what you think, what you've done, the stories only you can tell. So if you liked this episode, let me know in the comments. I'd love you to subscribe. And if you've got any questions, ask them below. I'm so here for them. And if you want to dive deeper into how you build a personal brand, scalable offers, and get out of your own way, then you can check out the link below as well on how you can work with me. So stop watching, time to go be bold, and I'll see you in the next episode.